everyone is as intrigued as you and I when we talk about the early rounds. How will Errol react? How does he look? How can he take a punch? We're about to find out.
Ray Flores, Miguel Flores, ringside here at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas. Honored to be with all of you for this welterweight showdown between two elite prize fighters in their physical primes.
And typically in these tight fights, Ray, especially when you look at it from the perspective of Danny Garcia, sometimes you're going to have to do something that you may not be comfortable with or you haven't done it in your entire career. And you said it, he started slow before, and he's been able to make, win bouts that way. But this is a fight that he may need to change that up against a guy like Errol Spence and start right from the gate.
Danny Garcia went to the body against Errol Spence moments ago. But Danny's coming forward now. You saw Errol go forward in the first few moments of the fight. Now Danny is going forward. It all depends on who can control the center of that ring. I could see a variety of different things playing out, but right now the jab right on the abdomen by Errol Spence. And Errol Spence is notoriously a very strong body puncher. He demonstrated that against Chris Algieri back in April of 2016, and that was in the line of his 11 straight finishes from 2014 through 2018.
It's a good body shot by Danny.
Good body work as Danny looking to land that left hook. He proved that against Eric Morales back in 2012. Overhand left by Errol Spence. Coming up on 65 seconds to go in the opening round.
And one thing that makes Errol so great, Ray, is that he's an aggressive fighter. He's not a guy, when you look at world champions and a lot of guys in the sport, you assume that, they're just a guy that's going to be a counter puncher. They're going to wait for the fight to come to them and go from there. Errol's a guy that brings the fight. He is aggressive. He will attack you. He looks for his spots. He's not going to wait.
There's a big straight left. Well, Errol's not waiting either. He is, so far, he looks sharp in the early going against Danny Garcia.
And this is what Sean Porter said. If you're Danny Garcia, you have to bring the fight to Errol. You got to let him know that you're here. You got to make your impact known.
So far, this is pretty much played out, and there's a straight left, and Danny backed up momentarily. There's a double right hand that connected, a lead right hand by Danny Garcia. Both men are finding their targets in spurts in this first round.
I know it's early, but Errol looks, like you said, Ray, sharp. There hasn't been much of a difference from the last time we saw him in the ring.
They pretty much look exactly as they have been over the course of their careers when it comes to the first round.
Exactly. That was a nice first round by Errol as we look at the sharp jab that clocked Danny Garcia, stopped him in his tracks right there. And then here's the body shot right here, Ray. Digging in.
But Danny Garcia would retaliate with the right over the top, testing the chin of Errol Spence. He did land flush, though.
He didn't land flush, but he got the chin, and Errol took it well. I mean, we've known this about Errol. Pre-accident, it was, he's had one of the best chins in the sport. He's been clocked a couple of times by guys like Sean Porter, Mikey Garcia, and he's taken them very well. And there was another one. Like you said, it wasn't flush. It wasn't a full Danny Garcia power shot, but it was a good test right there just to see how he is since the accident.
Round number 2, this one is scheduled for 12 for the IBF and the WBC welterweight championships of the world. Errol Spence has held on to that IBF crown for nearly 1,300 days. He won it in May of 2017 by smashing Kell Brook in the UK. On his hometown, Danny Garcia looking to take away the world title in the hometown of Errol Spence Jr.
Right now, Ray, we're seeing Errol come out in the first 2 rounds, and he's established the center of the ring. He is cutting it off and making it very difficult for Danny to operate and move around. That was the key factor that we were going to watch. One of the key factors we were going to watch in this fight is who was going to command the ring, who was going to come out. And so far, Errol has commanded the ring in the first round and in the first minute of this second round.
But also Danny Garcia is a pinpoint counterpuncher. And that is something that he has made as a part of his calling card over the course of his professional career. He has 21 knockouts out of 36 victories, a knockout percentage of over 50% for Danny Garcia.
That was a nice left by Errol over the top, getting through the defense of Danny. And as we talked about, Danny's got really good defense. Doesn't get hit much here in this division.
Well, Errol Spence, I don't think there seems to be any ill effects, at least thus far. In the first round and a half, there's a straight left that clocked Danny Garcia. But Garcia comes back. Let's not forget, neither man has ever been down over the course of their professional careers.
Well, according to CompuBox and our guy Dan Canobio, Errol Spence, he's tops in the welterweight division with power punches landed.
48% of his power connects is what he connects upon. Under a minute to go here in the second round. It is a calculated start to this welterweight championship affair between Errol Spence Jr. and Danny Garcia.
So far, Errol has looked sharp. Danny is just kind of waiting, looking for his shots countering, and that was a big one. Ray just missed.
He swung for the fences. Errol a little off balance, but Danny Garcia coming forward. We'll see if Danny decides to be a little more aggressive, and now they tie up. Thomas Taylor, quality referee, letting them fight out of the break. Now they tie up again. Danny Garcia's been a pro for over 13 years. Errol Spence a pro for over 8 years. Final moments of the second.
Danny trying to go to the body. That's one thing Sean did a very nice job in their last.
There's a left hook at the end of the second. Errol Spence felt it was late. And Errol sort of wiped it off as to say, that's it.
That's one of the things that people looked was how the chin was going to be. And I think Errol's heard the talk. And he wants to prove to everyone, I'm back and I'm better than ever.
And here is the end. And there was that little left. And Errol looks at him like, are you serious, man? And look at this. He just kind of brushes it off. He wipes it off like nothing. Listen to the corner with Errol Spence.
Get out, make him break you, and then we're going to get back in. Take him forward. What are you doing? It's like that. That's it. Don't do nothing on the jab. The jab's going to open everything else up. Don't be using too much either.
Hey, mouthpiece. 3.
Well, so far, at least as we go ahead and enter into the third round, it appears as if both men are following what typically has been the case over their professional careers. Errol comes out, wins the early rounds. Danny willing to sort of be a part of this feeling out process. So Danny Garcia isn't really changing who he is, at least in the first 2 rounds and change, Miguel.
And I think that's gotta be the difference, Ray. If you're Danny, like I said before this fight, sometimes you're going to have to do things that you've never done in your career, and that is starting early, and Danny Garcia does not do that, and there we go. That's a good start for Danny, and I think that's where he's got to start now. Round 3, here it is. It's time to go.
Well, a little bit of a slip there by Danny Garcia. Much to the fans giving their dismay here, largely, I think it is like 99% in favor of Errol Spence Jr.
I mean, there's no Eagles fans here, right?
None whatsoever that I have seen. This is Dallas Cowboy country, and this is Errol Spence country. Thomas Taylor warning Danny about pushing the head down. So far, though, we haven't seen any... Oh, there's a big straight left that backed up Danny Garcia. Errol Spence clocked Garcia.
He certainly got him with the body shot, Ray, but I don't know if he got his feet tangled up for the off-balance shot.
There's a right by Danny Garcia. Oh, boy.
I think the fight has officially begun, Ray.
Well, they are mixing it up. We knew Angel Garcia, the father and trainer of Danny Garcia, told me as we're just over the halfway mark, I anticipate my son to engage in these toe-to-toe exchanges. This is what we prepared for.
And that's going to be the tough part of this fight, Ray. And these guys knew it was going to be coming. You're going to be open. You're going to take some shots. Who can take them and then who can deliver them right back?
Danny Garcia sitting down in his punches, and now they both are coming to battle. And they are meeting each other in the center of that ring. Danny's coming forward more with a propensity compared to that of the first 2 rounds.
And Spence continues to just walk Danny down. Good little body shot. It was a looping right that was able to sneak underneath, but then Errol comes and counters right back with the straight left.
The action is intensifying here in the 3rd round. The most action-packed round thus far in the fight. Couple lefts as Danny bending over and Thomas Taylor letting them fight.
And you can see there is no, I think Errol has answered all the questions. There's been no hesitation whatsoever in how he is starting this fight out and how he's going to fight this fight.
Tense moments here in the 3rd round. Errol Spence and Danny Garcia are starting to let the leather fly here in this welterweight championship matchup. And there is a cut now on Danny Garcia on the bridge of the nose, it would appear.
Look cut, yeah.
Okay, you dipping and slipping, make them pay them. You giving them too much confidence. Back them the fuck off. Be smart, Danny. Don't jump out.
No, this cut is from a punch. You're not gonna know, okay?
Danny, it's not a cut, Danny. It's a baby. It's a baby. But let's stop on it.
I got it.
What you waiting for?
I know.
Danny,
It's a hit.
Danny, don't jump straight back. Okay, keep circling on him, Danny. You gotta make him pay. When he throws, go under him. Work with him. Okay?
No, take it down. I'll be set.
Keep your hands up. Somebody put you up, man.
Do you agree with the instructions from Angel Garcia to his son Danny Garcia?
That was great instructions. It's what I kind of seen so far in the first 3 rounds. Danny's kind of giving Errol too much respect. And it's okay to give a fighter respect, but again, you're here. This is a legacy fight for you. You got to come take it. Errol's not just going to give you this fight. And that's what his father was letting him know, that you're doing too much circling. You're allowing have Errol gain too much confidence. You have to step to him. You have to be there to meet him at a head. And right there, Errol again continuing to pepper Danny along the
Errol
ropes.
trying to knock this man
I
out.
think Errol Spence's confidence is starting to grow. Now he's backing up Danny Garcia.
Errol's got to be careful, though, because, Ray, you and I have both seen Danny Garcia. He can look.
He is an accurate counter puncher,
Exactly.
and he has dynamite in both hands. There's a striking left to the body by Errol Spence.
He can start slow. He can get have a couple of shots delivered on him. But again, he can deliver that one-shot knockout at any moment.
We demonstrated that against Brandon Rios. Did it against, was an accumulation against Adrian Granados. Now, granted, Errol Spence is clearly levels above those fighters in which we just mentioned. But Danny Garcia did defeat Amir Khan when Amir Khan was pretty much in tip-top form back in 2012 in July.
And now we're seeing Danny start to be a little bit more aggressive, and I think that's what his father was letting him know, that you got to come forward. You can't allow Errol to kind of dictate the way that this fight is going to go.
Just over the halfway point of the 4th round. There's a big straight left, a laser left by Errol Spence. Well, Errol's athleticism, his skill, his punch resistance thus far, we have seen no signs of ring rust from that layoff of 434 days.
Not at all, Ray. I mean, he's looked just as sharp as when he left off against Porter. This is the top welterweight in the world. This is who we've come to expect to see. And he is delivering so far through 4 rounds, Ray. Danny has got to answer, got to find a way to get on the inside, make it a little bit dirty, and bring the fight to Errol, because right now Errol's dictating this entire fight.
Well, Errol Spence has landed 41 of 31. 41 punches connected, 34 for Danny Garcia. Couple of right hands by Danny Garcia towards the tail end of this 4th round. a straight left that found its mark.